Hello and welcome to Fearless Business. My name is David Osijenyi and I'm your host for this show. Now we continue with our December reflections with one goal: to align our marketplace assignments with what God has in mind. We also want to be intentional in preparing for a different 2026 from the year that has gone by. Now, in September of 2025, we hosted our friend from the Pearl of Africa in Uganda, Noah Baalessanvu. Noah Baalessanvu is a multi-techpreneur with interest in 7 companies. He is a church leader, an advisor at governmental levels, and he is a husband, a father, and he's impacting all way around. Now, Noah broke down powerful money principles that we all need before stepping into the new year. He boldly declared that business people make the best pastors. Can you imagine? And then we went further to unpack how proper financial management will actually directly impact how your business operates, your business success, as well as your marketplace assignment. Now, he also emphasized that there's an importance of training and discipling and equipping your people, not just managing them, if you want better results from them. Here are some of the scenes from those episodes.
And when we did a search, it was one of the first digital forensics businesses or firms in East Africa.
Wow.
Shaping that. Yeah.
I'm picking a few things as you're speaking, Pastor Noah. One is what seemed like adversity. Well, someone would have lived in the fact, oh, we are in exile, we are not even at home, this is not working for us. That would have been enough to put you down. But I'm seeing how that adversity, the space that you're in, you thrived in that space. You embraced the space. Your parents embraced the space. They found work here. They built their careers, and in that space, God was already planting something inside of you.
Yes. People would call us and say, hey, I need a website for this. I need a system that does this. I need a system that does this. So we found ourselves, diverging from what the main mission was, but using the same skills to do other things. And we did pretty well. I mean, we kept, and it started becoming the main source of income. And so it was burst out of survival to try and make ends meet. But then when you're deep into forensics, you are the core business of systems. So you can design them to be strong, robust. And so we started building systems. I remember at some point we had to catch ourselves and it's like, but wait, are we a digital forensics business? So to try and solve that, we started another business called Telesoft to do the software work while computer forensics would remain with the forensics work.
And I just want to jump onto that in terms of a lesson to draw there. Because sometimes, especially when we are young, campus guys, you started a business, then it's looking like the market is not ready. And sometimes you're just dying with it instead of pivoting. And just not very long ago, by the way, I found myself wondering to myself, this thing that I've been doing for so long, is it really the thing? And so I understand when you're talking about being able to come back, but in the interim time, you may need to survive. You may need to do certain things that are not quite in the right direction, the same direction as you wanted to go.
Yes, I think I'm now 30. Barely 30.
You're all like...
And already...
30 shillings.
Yeah.
North of.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
There's that story is so close. It's so close.
It's so close.
You're feeling it?
I'm feeling it because that's how my dad's business went down. Because he started what we now know as helping people sell, buy stocks in the stock market. Till then, you couldn't have bought stocks if you didn't have 100,000 Kenya shillings.
Yes.
And as you're relating your story, I just remember his journey. And I was like, wow, where you find yourself in this situation. And
People's money.
And people's money. And not just any people, believers' money.
Believers' money.
And they trusted you because of the faith.
Because of the faith, And so I got to see that there's also the ugly side, which is a lesson learned about, poverty and being a slave to mammon, the spirit of money. Because, the tongue-talking, Bible-preaching believers who gave you their money became totally different.
Yeah.
And it came when the money got lost.
Oh,
And
yes.
money
People
comes
could
with
see
people.
the hold
Yes.
it had on people.
Oh, yes.
But then anyway, we started that painful journey of paying people back little by little. So since I still had these other businesses, whatever money we would get, I would be paying off people slowly by slowly.
How are you living?
So at the time, well, so what we did, my wife and I, because she's the one who had a more stable job, would live off her salary. And so that would be the thing that takes us through the month. And I remember driving down to talk to my pastor, Apostle Mose, and who had been with me all through that journey, encouraging and praying for me. And just said, no, sit here. So in his office, he told me, yeah, sit here for now. So for a period of about 3 months, I was co-sharing a desk.
Wow.
You worked from your pastor's
worked from
office.
your pastor's office.
What a pastor.
Good shepherding.
What a
What a pastor. Because now you have no office of your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
What a person! Who does that anyway? I mean, who does that? Where do you find such a relationship? And it's like, knowing, understand what you're going through. You sit here, breathe, and so for about 3 months, I would sit there, would pray together every Friday, and that was such a big boost.
Yeah.
To just getting my head above the water.
Yeah.
And getting hope again. I believe that if you want to kill a man, kill his ability to dream. If you kill a man's ability to dream, you've killed here. But as long as he can remain dreaming, as long as he can remain hopeful that tomorrow has a better outcome than today, he'll be willing to fight.
Yeah.
But the minute that thing dies, but
So number one, don't switch off your phone.
don't
Address your creditors. Have you talked to them?
The Bible verses that talk about that.
Yeah.
Proverbs,
Yeah.
take yourself like a deer who has been caught. Just take yourself there and have a conversation.
Have conversations. I promise I'll pay.
For you, tithe is a big thing. For him, it might not be a thing. For you, tithe is a principle. It's not made for him. So you've not taught him.
Wow.
You've not taught him the thing that is a principle to you. And so he's...
So as an entrepreneur, you understand.
You understand
you want
it.
to type
You
for a
want to type,
company,
but the people
but your
don't.
team don't understand that.
And so that...
And there's a principle right there because I feel sometimes we're expecting so much from our people, but we have not taught them.
Yeah.
We've not taught them our culture. We've not taught
Exactly.
them what we believe in. We've not taught them our values. So they have no clue.
Yeah. You can't have an expectation of something you're not taught.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't have an expectation of something you're not taught.
I love that.
And so that then caused me to think, like, I need to figure out a way to get the people that I'm at work to understand the things that I'm going through in School of Practical Business. So I started a huddle or discipleship group, which we called Leadership and Development, in short LD, Leadership and Discipleship, LD. And so I just invited different people in the organization.
This is within your business.
Within the business, yes. So
it was voluntary or compulsory?
Voluntary.
Okay. Let's
I
hear
can't
this.
speak for the people, but in my view, it was
You gave them a choice.
It was
Whether they felt they had a choice or not, you gave them a choice.
Yeah.
So I invited them. It's like, oh, please, there's this thing that I'm doing. Join and let's take this journey together.
Yeah.
And so what I did was that everything I'm learning, I teach. So what I learn on Friday, I teach on the next Wednesday for 3 hours. What assignments I'm doing, they do. The books I'm reading, they read. The synopsis I'm writing, they write.
Wow.
So I'm basically immersing
Whatever was inputted into you,
exactly.
you then went
and then
put
put into them. Yes.
And it speaks into a really powerful principle about learning.
Yes.
That as you're teaching,
You
whatever you're learning,
better
you
understand.
better understand.
Exactly. And because I'm teaching and applying,
Yes.
and I'm taking people on that journey, we could see changes in the business even after a few months.
Wow.
Because many of the people who joined are from other departments, which are led by other business partners of mine. And so they'd come to me as like, there's something that you're doing with these people that I'm starting to see benefits. One of the people who was on my discipleship group had never spoken with her father for about 10 years.
Wow.
And so when I was doing that honor series, it was an assignment. Don't come to the next class if you have not honored your parents. So she went and she came crying in the next class. It's like, I have spoken to my father and I had never spoken to him in 10 years.
Oof.
So you're not, and so you'd ask, where is the business value in that? It's like, if people are thriving, if people in your business are thriving, your business will thrive.
So I think what's really curious for me is you're not even teaching them about come to work early. This is a vision of our business necessarily. You're teaching them about how to be better people. Yes. How to honor their parents better, how to become
Better disciples.
better disciples.
Yes.
But in that, the translation is that there's a result in the bottom line of the employee, their productivity.
Yes.
Because how does that work? Like, how is it that I'm teaching you, like, almost, I'd almost think spiritual things here, but they're actually producing something tangible in the workplace.
It is like any spiritual seed. Whatever you sow will result in an outcome. He takes a risk and says, "That's your word." Then he goes and gets the business deal of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And he's amazed, and even says in one of the gospels, like, be far from me, I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
And Jesus looks back at him and says, "Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men."
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is that Peter recognized that this person transformed his business.
That's right.
This person transformed his business and then sold a vision that was much bigger than anything he could ever dream of.
Yeah.
And so it was so easy for him to let go of his life and follow the bigger vision of Jesus, because it's like the same thing he has done for fish.
Yeah.
He's going to make me do it.
Yeah.
And it will be like what I'm seeing here.
Wow. You think you made money,
Yeah.
but for some of us, what we're running is a glorified hobby.
It's a glorified.
Basically just a hobby that, because you're just throwing money in and money's coming out and you're not actually making anything.
Money
out.
passes through.
Money just passes through
in
you.
business.
So today, actually, we want to hear, because he said something powerful, and he talked about the fact that this is one of the things he's had to learn. So maybe, Pastor Noah, you can start by just talking to us about what life was like before you understood how to manage your business financials.
Wow. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. You see, when you're dealing with money, especially with business people, it's like trying to touch your eyeball. Have you ever tried, or someone else trying to touch your eyeball?
You could try.
You blink, you close it. It's like, how much money do you make? And the eye closes. But then the first thing is to be vulnerable and understand that you can't get help if you don't open your eyes. Yeah. So, I mean, when we started business, far back, my financial blueprint, Apostle talks about in his book, Straightforward Financial Growth, talks about our financial thermostat, our financial blueprint. Everything that comes to you is more or less net gross profit. Okay. Or gross revenue. And so we take on our gross revenue, we take 10% and say, okay, well, this is tithe. And it goes to a tithe account. The most important thing we learned from a book called, I think it is Profit First, is that don't have these account percentages just in an Excel.
Yeah.
Have them in physical accounts in your bank. You'll thank me later.
Yes.
Because an Excel can look good, but it's one account.
It's one
and then bank
So
charges.
have a tithe account.
Have a tithe account.
Because your Excel can hide things.
Your Excel can hide
You have a
things.
shared account for finances. I know that all the time. You think you have money and then you're told, that money was used to pay salaries.
It was on your Excel.
It's no longer there.
Yeah. So I remember a very long extracted conversation with our bankers when we told them to open 11 accounts under the same company name, and they're like, it had never been done before. And then they wanted to charge it differently. Some charges, anyway, long story.
Yeah.
You got 11 accounts opened. So your tithe account, that money goes straight. 10% of the income that comes into goes to that account.
So you have an income receiving account.
Yes. 10%
and then
goes
it
to the tithe
dispatches
account.
10%. Yeah.
Yes. Then we had 20% for savings. Why 20%? Because it's a fifth. It's a principle from the Bible. Joseph made Egypt the richest nation on earth because of 20%.
20%.
Yes. But then if you're doing it religiously, if you're doing it as a percentage by principle, and all these things go to the necessary accounts. Over time.
So your most important ones, tithe, and then savings
and
because this is where savings and investments.
Yes.
And then
people.
Yes. And then the rest now.
The rest of the 50%, you adjust the percentages as according to
your industry.
Fast moving consumer good, you're a factory, and you have cost of goods sold, what we call COGS.
So you have to
factor your cost of goods sold, and then what you look at is your gross profit.
Yeah.
And then from your gross profit, you can start taking out your tithe.
Yes.
Oh. Well, I'm just curious if you have some examples how this has worked for your business.
Yes.
So practically.
Yeah. So I'll give you maybe two if we have time for that. So one of it was debt. So back in 2019, in 2018, we were, remember we are breaking emerging technologies.
Yeah.
One of those emerging technologies is blockchain and crypto, which is very controversial. And so we hosted a very large conference in 2018, brought 33 countries, 1,000 delegates to Kampala to talk about blockchain and crypto. It was flagged off by the president. It was a huge success.
Amazing.
And so now we were asked to do the next one, 2019, because title sponsors lined up themselves, and it was going to be it was an amazing event. But a week to the event, a title sponsor pulled out.
Wow.
And so, again, going back to the basics of the word, you then understand you have to think systems. And so one of the ways in which, when we started to think about this is through School of Practical Business, but then also understanding that you need to have a predictable pattern through which things happen.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation earlier with Pastor M, and I was saying, one of the things I look doing in my pastime, yes, sometimes I have pastime, is to
You actually do have pastime.
I wouldn't call it pastime, but it's now intentional times.
Yes,
I watch
yes.
documentaries on YouTube about car assembly. Very boring videos. They have no soundtrack. It's just machines moving, and they are hours long. And you'd wonder what's happening. But then I find it fascinating. And like, for example, if you take any car, let's say a Mercedes-Benz, one of the at the pinnacle of human engineering, and they churn out hundreds of thousands of Mercedes-Benzes that perform on the Autobahn when you're driving it at 260 kph flawlessly, and you don't feel anything. But then you go and realize, you look at the people assembling the car, and none of them has a degree. Some of them are college dropouts. So how do you trust college dropouts to put together a marvel of engineering to perform consistently for 20 years? In East Africa, we buy cars secondhand, mostly.
Yes.
So if you're buying a car that has done 10 years, 15 years on the road, somewhere else, but you drive it as though it is new. You're not thinking that this part could fall off. You're not thinking,
at all.
How do you build a car that it can go to multiple markets and perform so well?
So many years later.
With people who are not qualified to do it.
Wow.
And the answer is systems. A system allows novices to perform like professionals consistently.
We get jittery about, and we fear, and also we're bad experiences. I remember when we used to be in production, one of the things that we did is we were creating pilots for TV programs in those early days. Because back in the days in Kenya, it's the state media house that produced all their programs.
Right.
But now we were in the place where digital media had come in, and there was a potential now to actually create programs that were not as expensive. So we came up with several great options, did some pilots. And I mean, it was a common story. It wasn't our story alone, but you pitch, you sit down with some guys, pitch it. They tell you, okay, we're going to think about it. And then, no kidding, 3 weeks later, 6 weeks later, you find your program on TV. Different name, but it's the same concept, same guys, you know? So, I mean, it wasn't, when I shared this with peers in the industry, it was like, that was common, you know? So I think it was just that horror story of I tried to share, I tried to get partners, and then
then you got swindled. And I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. But then again, you're not going to run out of ideas unless you don't believe in God.
True.
And
such a shift in mindset in
itself. I mean, if this idea gets stolen, I mean, go off with the positives. You had an idea worth stealing. There are people who have ideas, listen to them like it. And and by the time you have an idea worth stealing, that means your mind is in the right place. The right engine is firing in your head. Keep it running. Keep it running. Don't let it die with just that one idea. There's more where that came from.
Awesome. I hope we have whet your appetite to rewatch these episodes and actually take time with your notebook and a pen to write down some of the action steps coming out of it. Here are some takeouts I have for you. Consider signing up for the Faith-Driven Entrepreneur course. The details of these are on the screen, on the flyer, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through our WhatsApp number. Evaluate who you'll be bringing into your team. That's one of the key things for you to think about. Think about the criteria and that guides you when you're hiring. What training gaps exist within your team? What conversations do you need to have with your team to understand their challenges? Meet your team regularly, not just to work, but to teach and to disciple and to hear them out, because you better know your people and can provide value for them when you know them. Consider taking them through Mizizi, which is a 10-week purpose discovery program. We're happy to help you think through this and even set it up for your organization. This has been Fearless Business, and my hope is that you're applying the takeouts and the learnings that you're getting from this program. Well, You're preparing to go for Christmas in another few days, and this is from us at Fearless Business. We just want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. Spread good cheer, but also minister to someone. Provide food for someone, clothe someone, and let them experience the love of God. Spread the love as a fearless business and marketplace influencer. This has been Fearless Business, where we challenge you to go forth and be fearless.